Hey, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to Thursday night. Great edition of FaceTime with Todd Wharton. I'm your host of always, Todd Wharton. Just catching my breath. Had to run here. Hope you guys are doing great. Beautiful day out today in New York City. Definitely feel the spring is in the air, and I'm looking forward to my next guest that's coming up tonight. But let's get into it a little. Bikers in bike lanes, you guys got to do me a favor. The reason why we gave you bike lanes is so you guys can be safe, but you also got to look out for your pedestrians because when there's a red light, that means you got to stop too. I had a biker, this is the second time I think in 2 weeks, because the other one had a motor on it. I had a biker literally almost run me over. That's why I was late to the studio today. And he's like, oh, you should watch where you're going. I'm like, where I'm going? I'm looking at the lights, man. It's red. That means you got to stop. Red means stop. And he starts arguing with me. I'm like, you know what? You're right, bro. So I just walked away because I realized you can't win every argument. And I'm an easygoing guy, but it's like, man, I don't want to get killed on my way to the studio. Like, that's going to be on my headstone. Like, idiot gets killed by biker. I want something tough. Like, I got killed by a shark or I fell out of a plane and I bounced. Something, a great story. You know what I'm saying? And, anyway, again, the George Floyd case is on right now. If you guys haven't been watching it, watch it on Core TV. My boy Ben Crump has been doing the case. And then I just ran into Keon Harold. Literally, out of everywhere in New York City, I ran into Keon Harold. So definitely follow him on Instagram. Right now, he's fighting for justice for his son. Again, his son got racially profiled for falsely being accused of stealing a cell phone. And that's another case that Ben Crump is on. But right now, a great thing that we're going to talk about tonight, I got a great guest coming in tonight. And if you guys don't know him by now, by his name or by his own reputation, he is an amazing boxer. And I'm going to show you a little clip right now that's going to take your breath away.
Dramatic fashion against Mike Thru in Atlantic City. And then 1 month later against Simon Gonzalez in the heart. It was time to step up the opposition. So junior vet former world title challenger Harold Warren. To the shock of everyone, the fight lasted but 1 round. It was the first time Warren had been stopped in 54 professional bouts. 4 months later, knockout Maynard Reed with this devastating shot on the floor. A world title shot seemed inevitable. His potential unlimited.
That's all I got to end with that. That's why I cut that right there, because this man's potential is unlimited. Hector, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Macho time. What's up, Todd? It's good to be on, bro. It's a pleasure, man.
Yes,
It's
man.
macho time.
Definitely macho time. It's definitely macho time, man. Check the guns out. Check it out.
Macho time, bro. With the L with it.
That's right, baby. L's up to the world. Peace, peace to everybody. So, bro, you're looking good, man. You lost a lot of weight, man. How long's your training been going right now?
You know, we just started training camp maybe about a week ago. I was advised about this fight maybe about a month and a half ago. It's my 5th month already. I'm getting ready for the Chavez fight. It's like a dream come true, Tom. It's a fight I was born from young. So my father fought Chavez in September 12th, 1992. I always wanted to get a shot at Chavez, and here it is, like a dream come true, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're becoming a legend yourself on your own, but to fight somebody like that's crazy. Like the Chavezes and, you know, Hector, the De La Hoyas and everybody. Like these are heavyweight fighters. They're not heavyweight, but heavyweight name. And not only that, man. Let's talk about a little bit. Let's back up a little because you're from my hometown. You're from New York. We're gonna get into that in a minute. Born and raised, right? You were in the Bronx. Is that right for a little bit?
No, I was born in Spanish Harlem, in the barrio. Yes, East Side, Spanish Harlem. And you come anywhere from New York, you gotta be tough, man. It's a mindset, it's a mentality we have being New Yorkers, man. You gotta be tough. That's what makes us.
Exactly. I completely 100% agree. Now, growing up and watching your pop fight must have been inspirational and scary at the same time. Like, were you worried when you were a kid sometimes for your father's life? Because when you're watching your father, who's a great fighter, but when he got hit, how did that feel as a son looking at TV and that's your dad getting smacked up sometimes?
You know, luckily my father was a good fighter, man. He really got hit often, you know. He was a good boxer, good mover. The time that I did feel for was the time I went to Match Square Garden where he fought Evan Rosario. I attended the fight live, and that was the fight he got rocked. For the first time in his career, he got rocked in that fight. It was like surreal, man, like heartbreaking at the same time, you know? It's an excitement and at the same time I'm worried watching my old man fight. But not only that, man, all over the neighborhood, people just tease me. Your father got his butt kicked today, you know? I always get those kind of things, you know? But my father was a hero in the neighborhood, you know? So it was great, man. Same time it was surreal being around them, like living a dream, you know? I'll go to the big fights. When the big fights are over with, I go back home to the ghetto. So it was like a love and hate type of thing there, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. Now watching him, what really made you decide to get into boxing? Because I always ask that amongst the people that are legacies, like the Young Dirty Bastards and everybody else I've interviewed. But boxing is not your typical like acting or music. This is something that can straight up kill you, right? If you get hit by the wrong punch. So what made you really decide
definitely.
at one point that you're like, this is what I want to do?
You know, I wanted to be a baseball player. I'm Puerto Rican. I grew up in a Spanish household. Baseball was my thing. I didn't become a fighter, but what pushed me there was my mother. When I moved to Orlando, Florida in 1992, my mother told me, it wasn't like New York City. New York City, I had to go to the Boys and Girls Club, the Boys Club on 110th Street. That kept me out of trouble. So when we moved to Orlando, Florida, I had nothing to do. I said, you're not going to stay home all day. You're not going to stay home, get in trouble, hang out with your friends in the streets. We're going to put you in we're going to put you somewhere in a boxing gym. Let's go to the boxing gym. So I went to the boxing gym. It wasn't my first cup of tea, but it became like riding a bike easy to me because all I knew how to do was fight. It was in my blood, it was in my genes. So it was my mother who pushed me to the boxing gym. In 1994, I started competing as an amateur fighter. Having my first fight. In 1996, I became I was the number one ranked amateur fighter at 139 pounds. In 2 years, I became a ranked fighter. We going to Olympic trials. But it wasn't my father pushing me, it was my mother who kept on pushing me. Hey, go to the gym, be a boxer like your dad, be a boxer like your dad. I knew I had, long shoes to fill. Become a son of any grade, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Huge.
So, I got into boxing, it became easy, man. I started beating people up easy. In school, people didn't want to mess with me afterwards. They feared me in school. I was a boxer, had that fame. I mean, it was a good thing, but it had a lot of discipline in there. It had a lot of discipline. I didn't get to hang out as much in my high school days, and here I am now. At 42, still fighting. I'm the biggest fight of my life.
Yeah. And you hit something where kids were afraid of you in school. If you were ever tested to be in the fight, were you scared? And I'm not talking about scared of being hit or being in a fight. I'm talking about when you get into a fight outside the ring, you're known as a lethal weapon, right? Professionally. Were you scared that if somebody took you to a certain point, that if you accidentally hit them because they got you mad, that you would either kill him or you go to jail? Did that ever cross your mind during that time?
Yeah, as being a fighter, that's the last thing crossed my mind. My first thing crossed my mind is kick his ass. The last thing is what's gonna happen, And when you come from New York, we don't think about that. That's just nature. And we come from a tough city. When I was young in New York City, I was picked on a lot. Oh, you come out your son, let's fight. I always get picked on every time. But when I started boxing, the roles changed. I became more of the bully type, more of a savior type, But no, it never crossed my mind. I mean, that's just our first intention is to hurt somebody. We in the hurt business.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what's great about this, and it's a little weird at the same time. I love when two guys going at it, right? Knocking the crap out of each other. Just a great fight. But the majority of the times, which is really cool, at the end of the fight, you both realize you're not there to hurt each other personally, because it's a sport. And a lot of you guys really have a lot of love for each other. Does that ever come into play when you're fighting? Like, let's say you go up against somebody that you consider a brother or heart. Is there a point where you're like, wow, I'm about to battle somebody that I respect, I love his family, and now I'm going to have to take that out of my head and look at him as the enemy for the next 5, 6 to 10 rounds? How do you cope with that?
You know what? Coming up in boxing, that never crossed my mind. But in this particular fight I'm having now with Chavez, the exhibition, it crosses my mind. This is a legend who I looked after, who I idolized. Like, wow, Chavez, a guy who beat my father. So in the meantime, me being a fan of Chavez, it's It's so surreal. I'm a big Chavez fan. And come June 19th, I got to put that to the side for my father's legacy, for his namesake. And I got to beat Chavez butt. But it's still business, somebody who I love. And you know what? As we mature in the boxing game, we get to appreciate things a lot more. I'm getting old to the point of my last fight. Like, I have to appreciate everything I'm doing now. Like, jogging every day, I gotta appreciate it. Going to the gym every day, especially this big fight, one of my biggest fights. You know, and going to the ring is somebody who I love. At the same token, put in my mind that this is business. Like, it's time to fight. It is tough. You gotta switch that gear, but that's something I've been doing my whole life. So I do not switch the gear when the bell rings. I forget who's Chavez. I forget what he means to me, or what he meant to my father, or whatever. Not when the bell rings, it's time to fight. But after the fight, I can't wait to give him a hug and give him a kiss.
Exactly. Now, because of this fight, and he's a legend. First of all, what is the age difference between you and Chavez right now?
Well, Chavez 58. I'm a young 42. I'm a young 42.
Right.
But when you find a guy who is so great, who is one of boxing's great, a boxing phenom, those age doesn't matter. There's a lot of experience involved in that, you know?
Of course.
And when you find somebody, a
No,
guy's a Chavez, you know? I understand he's 58. I understand the age difference. I do have a kind of advantage over him because the age, but that's making back up because of experience. He's been in the big fights. He have 110 fights. So, you know, that's big time experience.
Exactly.
In those kind of fights, the fun thing is about adapting. How do I adapt to the style? Because he's seen everything in 107 fights. He's seen almost every kind of style there is. And so have I, over 60 fights. The fun thing about it, how do we adapt to each other's style? If something ain't working, I'll do something else to see how he would adapt. It's like a mind game more than anything else.
Yep, and I agree with you. And Andrew Stone said it best that, listen, if you give Michael Jordan a basketball now, he'll just back up and shoot a three. So just like in boxing, when this is your life, you really don't lose it unless up here something's happening. And if it wasn't a Chavez or something else, this fight probably wouldn't be happening at his age because of who he is, right? If he was just a normal fighter that didn't have the popularity status, that didn't have the belt status that he had, you'd probably be either fighting somebody else or it wouldn't happen, because I'm sure the doctors took that into consideration, like, let's talk to him. He is 58, but he's also a legend that never lost his touch. If it was anybody else, I don't think this fight would have ever happened. And I have to look at it that way because there is a medical point to this as well. Do you agree on that?
I agree to a certain extent. The same thing. It's the new wave of boxing now. As you see more and more, they got fighters like Tyson, Roy Jones just came out and did exhibition. It's the new wave of boxing that doing exhibitions. That also tells that boxing is in a bad state right now. You need the old name, the old great fighters come back and make boxing interesting again. But then again, like Chavez, 50 years old, so much experience, a great fighter. Yeah, they'll pass him. Because, you know, he's a legend.
Of course. Now, even though it's an exhibition, do you guys still require to maintain your weight and have a weigh-in the day before or the day of?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest fights, as it is making the weight. I'm actually in Fresno, California. I joined a good vegan team. I'm working with some great people. Alex Diaz. I'm working with Kitchen Food App, is a food application. Working with some doctors. We're going high level right now and getting myself ready. I'm on a vegan diet. I've been on the last vegan diet the last 2 weeks. I'm feeling great. The main thing is making that weight. That's the challenge. So the challenge of the fight is making the weight. That's our hardest fight, to be strong there to fight. So yes, there's a weight. We're making 160 for June 19th. That's the weight limit, 160 pounds. Chavez was a legend, at 140, at 135, at 126, featherweight champion, even 154. So we find a weight class 160 was comfortable for me, comfortable for Chavez.
Okay.
But it's not easy. No matter what weight you're gonna make, it's never easy. It's never easy. It's discipline.
Of course. Now, let me talk about your vegan diet. Obviously, a lot of diets usually incur a lot of protein for strength, for muscle, but obviously you need a lot of carbs for energy. How is this diet affecting your strength and your ability to box? Because you went from eating, right, I'm sure you had meat involved, to now you're strictly doing vegan. right? Which
Yeah.
takes away all the red meat, the chicken, the fish, and everything. How is that affecting you, stamina-wise when it comes to that? That must be an adjustment because I know you're doing it to lose the weight.
I'm doing it for way of living, also the right way of living now. As we get older, meats cause cancer, cause a lot of diseases. So that's one of the reasons why I've done it, just a change of pace. I'm becoming, I'm old in age. I shouldn't want to go to no hospital and see a doctor. Here I got cancer. Here I got any other sickness. So just the way of living is the way of life. So I joined this vegan team doing it. It's been 3 weeks. I don't feel no different. I'm still having my protein, except it's plant-based protein. A little different, Leaving the meats alone. Man, I feel light, man. I'm eating constantly. I'm eating 5 times a day. I feel good. I'm juicing. I'm feeling good. No complaints yet. I'm not craving for no meat. Not craving for no chicken. I feel good. I have all the energy that, I have a lot of energy. Something I thought I wouldn't have. It's energy. I'm having it. And I'm feeling good. Then again, it's only my 3rd week. Let's see how it goes. I got a good 4 more months left of this.
Wow, that's crazy. So when it comes to your training, you trained all over the world. What made you decide to train in California? Was it the location because it's near Mexico, or did you specifically want this team to work with in order to train?
I had a good friend here called Alex Diaz, a good friend on the a food app called Kitchen. He's real in cahoots with a lot of great doctors, with great people around him, great trainers. So he's like, Macho, why don't you come ahead of, to California? I put a team around you, bunch of trainers, doctors, and we do a scientific diet plan for you to put you at your best for that fight. And I went ahead and went along with it, and here I am the 3rd week, and I'm feeling great. It's working, that'll work, When it comes to boxing, you get all kind of people around you. Same thing the music business or whatever kind of business money at. Get out so-called leeches. People will be around just to use you. I just have to surround myself with good people who's there for me, who want the best for me. So I feel like Fredo the best place to be for this, for the next 5 months and train. Get myself away from the leeches, the people want to use you. Get myself around people who care for you. Cause this is a ugly business.
Oh
Ugly
yeah,
business.
I remember there was a couple of fights that I was supposed to actually go see. There was one in Florida that just never happened because I don't think people realize the politics that go into booking a fight. There are
Yeah.
so many little things that can just kill a fight right there. Like everybody's set to go buying tickets, and whether it's a green card from one of your fighters that can't get in, or they didn't make weight and everybody's excited. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not like movies or music where once you're booked, most likely it's going to happen. With boxing, there are little things that can just cancel a fight, correct?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Making weight is one of them. You gotta be in the right mind frame also, When you relax, I mean, you there to fight, you ready to fight. Some people just don't understand that, Sometimes I gotta turn my phone off at nighttime, get a lot of calls, It's a lot going into boxing. A lot of moving parts, A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Now, speaking of moving parts, and we have to mention this because I met these gentlemen through you. And first of all, I honestly, I thanked you there, but I'm thanking you again. It's when you get introduced to somebody and not realizing the status, the legendary person that's sitting with you talking, it was
Mm-hmm.
mind blowing to me. A year ago, you
Yeah.
were in New York, and me and you hooked up, and you're like, "Yo, Todd, why don't you come to the gym? I'm training." I'm like, "Cool." So I went to the Mendez Gym, a famous gym in New York City, Mendez Boxing Gym. And unfortunately, we lost 2 great people. It was Francisco Mendez and Nelson Cuevas. And they both died of
Yes.
COVID. And that's why I want to talk about this now, because people need to hear this story, because these were 2 amazing men, but they were human beings like everybody else. And people, COVID hits everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, your race, creed, your
No.
celebrity status, or not. So when you introduced me to Nelson Cuevas, and first of all, rest in peace, both those guys, because I hope they're
Yes.
doing well.
Yes.
Amazing man. When you introduced me to Nelson, you're like, "Yo, Todd, I want you to meet this guy because I have to go train right now." And I was there to see you train because I've never been to a boxing academy, a boxing gym to watch somebody train like you. And it was so
Mm.
dope watching you train. And I'm just like, man, this guy's 6 inches shorter than me. I think I'm buying dinner. If I argue with him, he's gonna knock me out when the check comes. He's gonna be like, "What? Wait, you're making me pay? I don't think so. Wait a big man, come over here." Right? So I sat down with Nelson, and he was telling me stories that I wish I had cameras on me. Right? He was telling me stories about Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. I mean, let's go down the list. But he really got emotional with Mike Tyson because if people don't know, Nelson Cuevas, his gym that he had was the first gym to host an amateur fight for Mike Tyson, which is crazy. And he was such an amazing guy. He didn't even know me. And he just opened up to me like we were friends for years. And I want to thank you for that. He was such a great man, dude. He had nothing great to say about you. Well, he had nothing great. He had a lot of things great to say about you while you were sitting there sparring.
Mm-hmm.
What was his influence on you in the boxing world?
You know, those kind of people, man, legendary people, man. You know, those guys who I knew from young, being Camacho Jr. So all my life, I've been some of the kind of people. I'm able to weed out who's the good guys, man. He inspired me in so many ways, you know. I've been around them, asking them questions. Those type of legends, kind of old time, I had to feed off them, ask a lot of questions, just absorb the knowledge. And Nelson's one of those guys, man. Always been a sincere guy, honest guy, been around my father for years, been around a lot of great fighters. And it's a tremendous loss we had when it comes to Nelson. As far as Francisco Mendez, man, great guy. His story was awesome. You know, he became a janitor, came from Mexico, became a janitor in a boxing gym, and ended up opening up 3 boxing gyms, successful boxing gyms. And he passed away recently. You know, you got a lot of great people in boxing. You look at boxing like a rough sport, a dirty business, but a lot of great people in boxing. When you get to know the fighters, see how humble they are, how much good they are. They be basically men trying to make it for our families, man. Mostly good people. They just come back like in every business, you just scumbags, but most fighters are humble. We come from poor surroundings, some hard backgrounds, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And Nelson, one of the good guys in boxing.
Yeah, and I think you have to come from a hard background in order to be a great fighter because you can't be like kind of a wuss and decide, hey, I want to box. No, boxing is a hardcore sport. And one of the things I learned with a lot of boxers is they hone their aggression into their talent, into their fighting, into their ability. And they always keep in the back of their head to where they came from, the school of hard knocks, where they grew up, the people that were looking at you to be an inspiration when you get in that ring. Whether you lose or win, at the end of the day, they just want to know that you keep standing and you keep moving. And you have to come from a hard background to get there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, boxing, like I was, it's a poor man's sport, you know? It's a beautiful sport. They have the bad side of it. I would say about 95% of us fighters retired broke. Cause we don't come from no schooling. We come from straight from the streets. We come from the bottom. And that's something that's bad in boxing. We don't have no retirement plan, no health insurance. We have nothing in boxing. The money you make, if you're lucky enough to make that kind of money, you make some money, you gotta go ahead and invest your money. If not, this sport is so dirty that if you don't invest your money, you get an opportunity to make money. You know what it is? After training 20 years, getting punched in the face for a living, go get a job after 20 years, in your late 40s, you gotta work, get a job because in boxing, our business, there's no retirement fund. We have nothing. It's, you know, it's a rough business, rough business. So you gotta be strong, man. You have thick blood, you have to be thick in boxing, you know? Not for anybody. It's not for anybody. I have 65, but I'm still good looking. I don't look beat up, you know? That's a good thing about boxing. And I use my brain good enough to invest. I use myself, my name, I use that leverage to get myself to a good place. Can not every fighter get the opportunity to make that kind of money? Not for everybody. There's a small percentage to make that kind of money.
Yeah, so this fight has a lot of meaning to you, personally, professionally, and financially. Personally, because you're fighting a legend, right? Professionally, you're fighting a legend, but this may be one of your last fights. And hey, to go out on top, whether you win or lose against a great fighter, that's a legacy card right now. Now, speaking of you know, making history, you're doing a documentary based on this this fight, correct? Like you have somebody filming you right now.
I'm doing a docu called Machos and Plants. It's about my transformation being a vegan, a vegan, and also bring awareness of what we go through. It's a lot more onto it. I can't spill all the beans out, but it's a lot more, you know. CTE, comas, concussions. That's something that plays a big role in boxing, any sports, in football, basketball, baseball. Concussion, you know. I'm also doing some things after that, you know, seeing doctors, spiritual doctors, and get myself together, get some brain tests, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, we filming right now as we speak.
Well, let
I
me
want to
ask
give
you
light to
something.
the people.
Let me ask you something, because somebody just logged on and they're watching right now. Your father was very famously for wearing Indian outfits, right? When he went
Yeah.
into the gym, the mohawk and
Yeah.
everything. Did a lot of that strive, because it was around the same time Felipe Rose of the Village People was wearing the outfits. Did he get that idea from that? Because it was an extravagant outfit that people just love.
My father was always been different. Then you got people that are just different, you know? I mean, you got fighters born every day. Macho Camacho is once in a lifetime, those kind of fighters, you know? I guess my father left his blueprint in boxing. You still see fighters today wearing the Macho Camacho type boxing outfits, wear, you know, to the fights. It's a part of marketing, and it's a part of who he was, you know? And I guess the Indian part of it comes out of Taino, the Indians. Us Puerto Ricans, you know, it's a mix, a culture of Indian, Spaniards, you know, African. They call us Tainos, Indians. So
That's right.
I guess that's what inspired my father wearing the Indian costume, along with the Roman Trojan outfits, along with this, along with that. That's just who he was, his persona. He knew how to market himself. He was different
That's
at that
right.
point. He knew
Well,
how to
I'm
sell
letting you
himself.
know. Well, 100% right. Well, I'm letting you know now. We have an icon watching you right now. So Felipe Rose of the Village People just said, "What's up?"
Felipe,
This is your
saludo, my
man.
man. He just put
That's
Taino
right.
in the bottom. Yes, yes,
That's right.
yes.
Felipe Rose was actually a good friend of your father. They got along many times and met many
Mm.
times. Yeah, I don't know if you knew the stories. They met a lot, and they had so much aspirations for each other. When he heard I was interviewing tonight, he's like, "Yo, Todd, I'm watching this interview because I was a big fan
Dope,
of Hector
dope,
Camacho growing up."
dope,
That's what I
dope.
love about these interviews, man. It's about legends like yourself, Felipe, and a lot of other people getting to know you again, watching you again, and respecting
Thanks
each
to
other
people like
again.
yourself for giving me that platform to do so.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And guys, if you don't know, we are chopping it up with Hector Macho Camacho. You can follow him on Hector
Macho
Camacho
time.
3.
What time is it?
Hector
Macho
Camacho 3
time.
on Instagram. That's right. And then
Yes,
definitely
brother.
follow me, Todd Wharton Official. I interview celebrities 5 days a week right here on IG. So, Hector, let's talk about the fight. This is a big deal for you. Okay, first of all,
Yes.
it's Puerto Rico versus Mexico. All right,
Yeah.
let's put that out there. It's Puerto Rico versus Mexico, right? It's a
Mhm.
Latin nation, guys going at it, and you're training hard right now. And the cool thing is that you're fighting in Guatemala, Mexico, right? Great place to
Guadalajara.
fight.
Yes.
Guadalajara. Listen, I'm Italian, all right? We
That's
say
okay, brother.
Guatemala.
You almost said it right. You said it right, brother. I understood.
Guadalajara, 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 Mexico. You know what I love about you fighting down there? Because some of the greatest fights ever, and I'm not dissing my country, I love America, but some of the greatest fights ever happen in Europe, South America, and the reason why, in Mexico's and all that stuff, because the fans are a totally different atmosphere. Like you ever go to a soccer game? A regular soccer game doesn't even have to be the two top teams, right? It could be the two worst teams, but it's
He
like you're
feels the
watching the
energy.
Super Bowl. Oh man.
Electrifying. And I can't
Yeah.
wait. That's going to be June 19th. That's exactly going to be June 19th. I'm fighting in a legend's hometown in a soccer stadium. With by that time she'll have close to 60,000 fans in there. Probably rooting
That's
against
right.
me, not all. But it's a great night of boxing, man. Puerto Rico to Mexico. And you know what the coolest thing about it, Todd? I'm fighting one day before Father's Day. What a good way to honor my father, the legend, is beating somebody who beat him in his time. I mean, how many sons, if it's a dream come true, how many sons would love to honor their father? What a way to honor him. Go in the
Yeah. I
ring
mean,
with a guy who
he's
beat one of
probably
his
looking
rivals was
down.
beating him.
Yes, he's probably looking
Beautiful.
down at you like, he's probably sitting with God right now. He's like, listen, everybody up here, when my son's fighting up in heaven, it's Macho time up here.
Yes,
We want to
sir.
get the big
And down
screen
here on
TV.
earth, it's still Macho time.
That's right, baby. Now the
I just
stadium
came
that
from
you're
Mexico.
fighting at,
Mhm.
yes. Now the stadium
I
that
was
you're fighting at is the Jalisco Stadium, correct? In Mexico?
Jalisco Stadium, yes, where the famous Guadalajara team plays at. I mean, it's gonna be a great night, man. It's more than just Puerto Rico versus Mexico. It's showing the world that the best fighters are Latin fighters. You get the best
Mm-hmm.
fights. The past best fights are Latino fighters. I'm not just fighting for my country, Puerto Rico, for my father. I fight for all Latino America. I'm fighting for everybody who had a dream and couldn't make it. I come from New York City, where it's almost impossible to make it out the hood in New York City. My father did. I got a chance of making it. So I'm fighting for all the other people who do big. I guys keep dreaming. Dreams do come true. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Hey, I've been wanting this fight since 1992. I may sound old, but I finally got it. I stuck to my guns. I never gave up. That's the difference for me and other people. I never gave up.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If I hear you say you're old one more time, because your ass is at least 5 years younger than me, I'm gonna
I'm
fly
making you
through the
feel old.
screen. I'm gonna beat your ass, and then I'm gonna take Chavez. He's gonna be like,
Hey, Tom,
who's this white boy?
you
And
know
be
what's
like, yo,
funny?
have you seen my promo? Oh, I can fight.
Yeah, I seen that. Hit the kangaroo one. That was a good right hand for the kangaroo. A good one. Hey, you know what I tell myself in the morning, man? I wake up in the morning and go, oh, and my back is hurting and my legs are hurting. That old man Chavez are hurting too. And that's what keeps me going, man. It's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful thing, man, you know? Get ready for this one
I
night.
know.
It's Chavez's last fight. It's my last fight too, you know? So I'm enjoying every moment of it, you know? Every moment I'm enjoying it.
You know what I want to see after this fight? I want to see
What's
both of
that?
you in a commercial, like all beat up, steaks on your face, and it's like a Preparation H
Yeah.
commercial.
I tell you what,
Like
he be the
sponsored
one
by
to be beat up, not
AARP.
me. He could be the one to be beat up, not me. I love him, but he could be the one that's beating up, not me.
Oh my
Good
God.
night. Should be good
So
night, man. And then on the other card, we had the great MMA legend, Anderson Silva fighting Chavez Jr. On the other card,
that's
that's
right. I
another
was about
great.
to ask you about
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
So who put that fight together? Because to put an MMA fighter against a
Uh-huh.
boxer, um, people don't understand there is a significant difference between mixed martial art fighting and boxing. There are skills on both ends, right? But now
Yeah.
you're asking an MMA fighter to fight straight up, right? No roundhouse
Yeah.
kicks, no nothing. This is mano a mano, dukes on dukes. What do you feel is going to be because do you feel there may be an advantage for Chavez in this fight because he is a straight up boxer, where Anderson Silva is a boxer, but he's more of an MMA fighter? Do you see a difference in the caliber of fight? Do you see an advantage?
You know, I've been watching MMA recently, and they fighters have gotten a lot better when it comes to the hand skills. A lot of them. And it's just another one. I mean, they've been down to get a win over boxers as it is. It's always been a competition between boxing, MMA, boxing, MMA competition. I think that's thinking outside the box, thanks to the promoter Saul Rios, Boristeca Boxing. Um, for really thinking outside the box, along with Amanda for GSS, Global Shooting Services, along with Scano Boxing, they came with the idea of let's cross over, let's cross this off. And I could see why. I remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor. It's one of the biggest fights that ever been sold on pay-per-view. So I could see them how they, went ahead and brought in Anderson Silva for buys and for entertainment. It should be an entertaining fight. Of course, I'm rooting for Chavez Jr. I'm rooting for the boxer. But it should be entertaining. I mean, it should be good. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
This is, after
Now,
all, an MMA legend, you know?
yeah, and you want to know something? This whole entire card is all about legends. You got the two
Yeah.
sons of legends, but they're each fighting a legend within itself. So you're fighting Chavez Senior, Chavez Junior is fighting Anderson Silva, who is a legend in the MMA
Yeah.
game. I'm excited
Legacy.
to watch it. Now, I believe you're
Legacy.
fighting on pay-per-view this year, right? You're doing this on
It's
pay-per-view?
a pay-per-view event, yes. It be GSS, Global Stream Services. I'm doing a 6-rounder, which I'm not too happy for. I'm training for 12 rounds. At first, before Anderson Silva came on the picture, I told Chavez, Senior, listen, I understand you old, you want to do 6 rounds. Let me do 6 with you, and I'll do 3 more with your other son and 3 with the other son. I want to fuck all 3 of them the same night. I want to kick all 3 of them the same night. But you know, that's boxing, you know. So here I am getting ready for a 6-round fight. If I'm going downwards, instead of going up. But hey, I'll be super ready for 6 rounds. I'm ready for this fight. And ready to pass with flying colors.
That's right. Now, I do want to ask you a question. It's a pretty important question. Pay-per-view was the big thing to book back in the day, right? Because that's where everybody fought, everybody paid to play. And the reason why I'm asking you now, there's so many streaming services that are all free, and they do these fights live. Do you feel there may be an effect on the people actually watching? Because now people are going to have to pay to watch this. I have no problem doing that. But with COVID being around right now, that may affect your audience virtual-wise, because right now, everybody's leaning towards the free everything. Now, are you feeling that? Do you think that may affect?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. You know, would it affect my pocket? Well, this is more than just a money fight for me. This is me beating Chavez's butt. I don't mind beating Chavez's butt on free TV, paying TV. I don't care if there's one guy there, 60,000 there. I've been wanting this fight. I've been wanting to fight for years. So really, I don't really care too much about it, whether it be free paying it. I just want to kick his butt. That's the only thing that my mindset is gearing up to, just getting ready for this fight, you know?
Yeah, no,
And it's a great fight for COVID. People enjoy it, but I mean, it could be a tough one. It could be a tough sell at the same time.
It's not about payment for you, because everybody knows you do this for the passion. I'm talking about when they set this fight up, that a lot of people who would want to watch this fight may not be able to do it because it's a paid event. You know what I'm saying? And it's not nothing to do with you. You're doing
people
it
still
for the
doing
love
it.
and the passion.
People still doing it. People are paying like one guy Alex Diaz just said. You know, people are paying to $19 a month to have dads and app and they're giving big fights and dads and people watching it. It's entertainment. I mean, people want to see. They're gonna see it during these times. What else they're there to do? You know, we are shut down. What else they're to do but to watch entertainment, to watch TV? People are doing Netflix almost every day. So
Right.
I mean, could be a tough one. I mean, but I think for the price that we put on pay-per-view is a good price, a fairly cheap price. I think people buy it. They will enjoy it.
Yeah,
I mean, you've seen 2
worth it.
legends. You've seen a legacy fight.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm definitely doing it because it's worth the money for me. It was just a curious question I wanted to ask because, you know, that's what a lot of people I know have been thinking on the virtual audience. I know the younger kids and all that because we're in a different time right now. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. Now, you have 4 months to go. Are you going to stay fully in Cali, or are you going to move around a little during your training, or is it all going to be in one strategic place? I asked you in the beginning why you're in Cali, but are you going to be there for the whole 4 months?
Well, I have 2.5 months left. We're basically down to a good about 12 weeks left for the fight. Yes, we have a couple of press conferences coming up soon in the West Coast and East Coast. I think LA is a press conference we're having, one in Vegas, one in Texas, maybe one in New York. But we'll be moving around for promotion purposes. But when it comes to training, my whole training be in California, yes.
Perfect. Yeah. And now, are we going to see the famous curl coming down during the fight for the last time? Are we going to see this curl coming down on the forehead?
The curl? Again, the curl, right? You're going to see more than a curl. You'll see a great entrance. You're going to see the Macho Man-ness on top of me with the outfit, the flashiness. I mean, it's going to be something to watch, man. It's pay-per-view for a reason.
All right. Now, what song are you going to be killing it to when you walk out into that stadium? Because you want a song that's going to get that crowd just lit. You want to get something that just like you coming out like like Jay-Z coming out with Beyonce about to perform double style. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have something in mind that's gonna blow people away because you're an entertainer. You're not just a boxer. You're out there to show.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's something we're still working on. But I'll let one cat out the hat. I'll let one surprise go. I'm walking in the ring with Frankie Ruiz Jr. His father was a Latin legend in salsa. His father was real good friends with my father. We're close friends. So Frankie Ruiz Jr. is going to be performing also on the through the ring entrance. We got a big show going on. I believe I have about 6 to 8 minutes for my ring walk. So I'll make sure I'm using the whole 6 to 8 minutes to be entertaining. This that one moment we all grasp for. If you're a boxer, if you're a baseball player, you always dream of batting the last inning, the bottom of the ninth inning, base loaded in that game-winning home run. If you're a basketball player, you always dream of making the last shot in the visiting court. For a fighter, I always dream of this one fighter fighting in front of thousands of people watching and performing, and this like a dream come true.
I think your internet's going in and out a little.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought it was yours. All right, we're on the same page.
Yeah, no, no. I'm in a studio, so they got
Okay.
top-notch internet here. So let me ask you something. Life after boxing. A
Mhm.
lot of the great boxers sometimes take on underlings to bring them up in the styles that they did, to be an inspiration to others. Are you considering maybe here in New York opening up your own gym and lead because your father's
Mhm.
legacy and your legacy should continue? And here in
Yeah.
Harlem, with it's so much love, would you consider continuing that legacy by having your own gym?
Yeah, I mean that's something that I'll definitely think of doing. That's something I'm doing in Panama now. I'm living in Panama now. I'm opening up an
Yeah.
after school program. After this fight's over, I'll be going back over to working at the school program that I was dreaming of doing. That's something a lot of questions will do is give back to the youth, give them a home, give them something to follow. But I'm thinking of more politics. You know, I'm thinking going to politics afterwards instead of fighting the ring, beating people up. I'm fight for my people outside the ring and be a voice for my people. That's something I'm getting into. I'm dipping and dabbling, welcoming what the future gonna hold. But I keep my doors open. Definitely stay in boxing. Definitely give back to the kids that's coming up. Who knows? Probably gonna find the next Hector Macho Camacho out there in the streets. You never know. But we don't give them opportunity. We'll never know. So I'm definitely getting back to a couple of gyms, open a couple of boxing academies. Not just for the fighters, also teaching about the sport of boxing. Also teaching the fighters how to invest. That's something we don't have now in boxing. To teach the future, how to market themselves, how to invest, how to carry yourself, how to be a
Hmm.
G. Not G's and gangsters, G's and gentlemen. We losing that in the streets.
Yeah, and I love you saying that. You hit a pretty important topic to get into politics. Have you been thinking about that for a while? Because that is a totally different
Yeah, I
realm. And if
have.
you do it correctly, I mean, you could really be an inspiration not only in boxing but to your people. Are there any particular topics that you would hit right away if you really decide to get into politics?
Immigration. I'm Latino. That's something I'll definitely bang on. It's a lot of things, I'm all for the people. Instead of me fighting people in the ring, I fight outside for my people and be a voice, like I said earlier. I mean, that's something I look forward to doing. I got a great heart. And I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is for us coming up, people in the bottom. Doing open ways for everybody, give my opportunity. That's something I would love to get into. Like I'm a big dreamer. I like to dream big. I do think that people say, "Well, why you doing that? You can't do that." Same thing in boxing. People say you can't. Your father was great, but you can't follow his steps. You're not your father. So this is something I like doing. Things that people say you can't do. I like to challenge myself and push myself to do. That's something I might want to
Yeah.
do. But I know it takes a lot of time consuming. Say going back to school. And I went to do the extra miles to get it done.
Yeah, you want to know something? I love when people give me negativity and say you can't do
Yeah.
this because I just turn around and I'm just like, you know what? Thank you for the inspiration. I appreciate you for that. Because the people
Yeah.
that always try to say you can't, you can't, you can't, the majority of the time is because those people gave up on their dreams a long time ago.
There you
And
go.
sometimes they don't want to see the ones that are trying to go for their dreams succeed because they
Succeed.
decided to.
Yes.
And I love negativity because it makes me work even harder. And you know my grind, the things that I
Hmm.
do here in New York. Um, you have a grind like a lot of other artists that I see that you never stop. And you always have your father sitting right on your shoulder and be like, that's my boy. Because I think there's a little bit of part of you that if you stop running, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to feel like you let your dad down. Am I
Oh,
correct
big
on
time.
that?
Big time. My father was my role model. When I come from New York City, from Spanish Harlem, you don't make it out unless you're special. And I had that blueprint of my father who made it. So I know I can make it if he made it. Listen, this is a guy that came from Puerto Rico, not speaking no English at all, made it to the White House. That's the American dream, brother.
That's right. That's right.
And if he did it,
Yeah.
I could do it. Remember, he came from Puerto Rico at the age of 4 to New York City. Didn't speak no English, and he made it to the White House to meet President Reagan. I mean, that's a dream. If he did it, I could do it. If I could do it, the future could do it. It has been done.
That's right.
So if I give up
And
now, I feel like I'm a sucker if I give up. I can't give up. The haters,
right.
they want us to give up. But we keep pushing forward. That's what makes us different. We all have people around us say you can't do something. Even your close family will tell you you can't do something, you can't do something. No. If you want it, you can dream it, you can do it.
That's right. And I love that you're saying that right now. And we're going to probably wrap it up on that because what you said is so inspirational. And I want everybody to hear that because after this is done, I'll have this back up on Instagram so anybody can watch it whenever they want. Because this interview right now, you're speaking a lot of sense, bro. And I appreciate you
Thank you,
for
Todd.
everything that you're doing. And you know I got your back 24/7. You my dude, always. You have a great heart. You have a great mind. And you've always been a gentleman since the day that I met you, bro. And
Thank
I
you,
love you
brother.
to death. You do.
They
Of
say
course,
real
bro.
recognize real. Same thing with you, bro. I'm pretty sure you went through a lot of people telling you can't do something. You on Times Square. Like, how many people have a show on Times Square?
Thanks, man. Yeah, it took me a long time to get there, but when you get to the right
Salute.
people and they believe in you, you know, it's funny now, whenever I do a concert in Times Square with the years of hard work getting there, now I'm on all their speed dial. Took me a long time to get on speed dial, which is great. And I introduce you to somebody who's directly affected by one of the parades, and hopefully we'll see you there this year or next year and then years beyond. Because if you get into politics, I want a Latino leader here in New York City,
Yes,
man.
brother. Why not?
Mayor
Yes.
Camacho. Mayor
Why not,
Camacho.
brother? Yes, sir. Anything's possible, man. Dream it and you can achieve it.
That's right. Every time you do a press conference, people would be like, at 7 p.m., Mayor Camacho, it's Macho time. And I want that. I want to hear that
The name sounds
all over the
good.
place, bro. I know. I love it. I love it. So listen, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to wish you good luck, bro.
Likewise,
Really.
Todd.
Amazing that you're fighting this guy. Amazing that he's fighting you. And I can't wait. And I'm telling everybody out there, pay-per-view or not, make sure you get your ticket for this show. It's going to be on TV. Everybody will be able to watch it. It's worth the money. And I'm looking
Macho
forward to
time.
it.
Hey,
Macho
Todd,
time.
give my what's up to Spinderella. I know you close for it. Give my what's up to Spinderella. Tell us say what's up. Macho
got
time,
you.
baby. Love you. Thank
I
you.
will definitely do that for you. And guys, if you don't know, please follow Hector Camacho on Instagram. It's Hector Camacho 3, and you can follow him there. And then follow me at Todd Wharton Official. I interview celebrities 5 nights a week. And to give you what we have coming up tomorrow night, I have a great person coming here tomorrow night from Loving Hip Hop in New York. Miss Tara Wallace is going to be in the house tomorrow night. And then next week, we have R&B group Allure. I have Michael Winslow from Police Academy. We have Tom Malloy from Alphabet Killer. And then Thursday, we got Mike Hans from the Boot Camp Click. And then we're going to wrap it up that week with Vina Love, R&B sensation from Growing Up Hip Hop, and the son, the daughter to the legendary Kid Capri. So guys, as I always say in my interviews, please wear a mask. Please be safe. Practice social distancing. And at the end of the day, if you're not living a passionate life, then whose life are you living? Guys, have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow night.